Yeah.
But is there a way to tell when you've built up a tolerance to a SSRI versus it's not really working, and so now I need to look at methylforms of B or stuff?
That's a great question. I just think it's pretty nuanced.
Yeah, with the doctor, it's like a lot of check with your doctor.
I mean, I think anytime you're dealing with something, this is not like, hey, my cholesterol's at this level. And diet, of course, is important, but it's a little more black and white. The drug is going to do X at X milligram and it's working for me. When you're dealing with something like a, psychiatric, not to use such a heavy word, but, an ADHD, depression and anxiety, there's so many other factors. You could be having issues at work and yes, now you're more depressed. You could have an issue in your relationship and you're more depressed. Nothing to do with the med or without the med. So I know that's a long-winded answer. I just think there's so many things at play in terms of really answering that about when to go up. I would say though, the higher dose is going to deplete more and put more demand on methylation. Mm-hmm. It's going to deplete more energy via CoQ10. It's going to inhibit more melatonin production for your sleep. So do that with caution. And as much as you can, figure out, hey, yes, things are worse now than they were 6 months ago. It's not because I need more drug. It's because I'm having an issue in a relationship, my kid, my work, etc.
And I again, this is probably a question that is more nuanced but do doctors even really talk about this? In my limited knowledge and experience, it's, hey, we'll start you on this and you may need to go up. You take one at night, one in the morning. And so they're already scaling you. So when it do they have a threshold? Not to kind of go back, but hey, once you're at 3 or, whatever.
No, that's a good question. I think the part to understand is, for example, a medication like Zoloft, very common. 25 milligrams is the lowest dose. It's not really effective for depression or anxiety. So if your doctor starts you on that, that's really, in the vast majority of cases per studies, a starting dose. So you may say, hey, that right away they bumped me up, or like you're saying, they told me to take 1, now I'm taking 2. That's because 50 is what they really want you on. Does that make sense? Now, where the questions come in is 50 to 100. So now you're at the low end of the therapeutic range versus the 100's the high end. That's where it gets more complicated. But a lot of times, those initial dosing regimens are just to get used to the medication so that you don't have side effects that are preventable in severity or in existence.
So it's a titrated
dose. So that's a good question, but that part of it I can answer. And then to the meat of your question, again, how do you know if, 50 to 100, that's where it gets complicated.
Yeah. And they don't would they recommend you need to be taking methylforms of B? Would they would they give that advice that we're giving on this podcast?
Hopefully.
No,
well, that's what I'm saying.
There's technically Deplin, is a kind of a medication or a medical food version of L-methylfolate 15 milligrams. We dispense it on occasion. We do. And now there's generic forms of it, so it's a little more accessible. It's just one of those things that because it's a little more alternative, you have to be a little more plugged in. But we see traditional medical doctors recommending it, yes. At the scale that maybe is appropriate, in my opinion, no, but it's out there with traditional medical doctors. It's out there.
Pretty wild that basic nutrition, hey, you need to get enough B vitamins, is considered alternative.
It is. And again, I kind of like looking at the mechanisms. It's not just kind of out there. It's just take Bs because they help. Well, why? I like knowing why.
This is why.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that's what I'm asking, because the approach that you're taking, which I appreciate, is hey, this is not bad. And here's how the two of them can work together. I'm just curious if other medical providers or doctors would have that same approach.
I know.
Where they may leverage more, the drug then.
Our listeners are getting it right here.
That's what I'm saying.
Good. It's all good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, our goal always is to try to present the information in the most balanced way that, we're not, yes, we have a website and supplements. We believe in them. I believe in them, but I also believe in medications. And I really like where you can draw the nuances and where you can see how they can work together like this. That's why this really struck me.
So we need to share this episode.
Please
get the word out.
But I think, overall, what I like about this is so many podcasts like this and episodes, it's like the medication's bad or the supplement is going to save you. And this is how they can work together. This is not, I'm on an SSRI, so I can't, I'm not doing the supplement route. It's no, these work together. Again, this is not a judgment on SSRIs. This is what else can you do to augment it, whether it's from an effectiveness standpoint, how to make the medication work better for you, or it's to mitigate side effects that are common with these drugs.
Yeah.